Hey, good morning everyone. We're back in the bike shop this morning. Last night I did a live stream of the Nireeka Prime A4 bike build, but I didn't get to quite finish it on the stream last night, but I did finish the build. So there were a few problems that I found, and I want to talk about those things this morning because those small problems could have been potentially big problems, and I want to show you what I did to fix them so that we would not have those problems. So stay tuned. All right, we're back in the bike shop, and so we're going to talk a little bit about the Nireeka Prime A4, the build. What did I find during the build, and what I like about this bike and what I don't like, which the don't likes weren't really a whole lot, but we'll get to that. All right, here we are. I got the Nireeka in the stand. Now, that's going to be something potentially I'm going to have to look at on how I'm going to work on this thing in the future, because right now I just kind of have it, the bottom of the seat post hanging on the top of this older park bike stand. I don't even know that it would actually fit on my other stand back there, which is the feedback stand. So I'm going to have to look at options for future for working on this thing here. Right now this actually works right here as it is, because I can leave it hanging right there, and I can go ahead and turn the wheel and make all my gear adjustments on, which I had to do last night, by the way, which is one of the problems I discovered last night. So let's talk about the build and what I found. Okay, so first of all, as far as the way it was packaged and shipped and the way I received it, I could tell there was going to be no damage whatsoever. It was very well packaged. I was quite impressed, and it was typical of what I seen back in the days when I worked in bike shop years ago, how they would be shipped and packaged and how you would cut them. And so I did use my side cutters, instead of, you don't want to try cutting those things with a blade and then end up poking and stabbing yourself. So I've been trained a long time ago, use the side cutters to get those things off, quickly clip them and get them off. So that went well. Inspecting the bike overall, found no problems. I had one small blemish, and I'm not going to point the camera over there and show it, but right here in the head tube, there's just one small chip in the surface of the finish, which is very minor. I can tell it's not deep into the carbon or the composite material, and it's not cracked or anything like that. Just one small blemish. Other than that, there's the finish on this thing is perfect. So I was really impressed with that. The assembly went very easy as far as getting the wheel installed. Once I got the air pressure correct on the fork, which I think I ended up putting around 140 psi. I'm 6'1" and about 205 pounds. So I used about 140 psi, and it worked pretty well for me. One of the things that I did discover that could have been potentially a big problem. Now, let me kind of point out that I've been looking at this bike here for a while. So I've watched a number of videos where people pointed out different problems with their bikes. Now, being a former bike mechanic, and obviously I still work on bikes, I have my own bike shop here, pretty much an enthusiast, a bike racer, so I do know a lot about bikes and maintaining them. So listening to some of these different videos, I was really listening for what potentially the problem was that led to that. So I knew a lot of things already to look out for. Like one is getting in here and tightening up this the nut on here that's holding the crank assembly together. So I do have those tools and everything. I haven't actually done that just yet, but I am going to check the torque on this to make sure that it's tight. But what I also found is that after I got it all together, I was shifting it, it wasn't shifting right. It's like, it took me a minute just to figure out what the heck was going on, but the chain would get hung up in right here in about the middle of the gears here. And so I kept looking at it, and I kept wondering if maybe the cable stretched, maybe the cable wasn't seated in a barrel correctly, and it decided to set. Couldn't quite figure it out at first, and finally I discovered that the top part of this derailleur here was hitting the bottom of the frame here. So what had actually happened, now let me point out something here. So you have the derailleur here is on two pivots here. So you have the original derailleur hanger that's built into the frame here, and then you have about this 1 inch long secondary hanger here, and then this is the actual derailleur mount right here. So what happened is this here had come loose and was pivoted up this way, so that would cause the top of this derailleur to come hang all the way up here. So basically, as you were downshifting, the derailleur couldn't move because it was hung up right here on the bottom of the frame. So I ended up loosening this top bolt right here, and then pulled this back and then brought it down to where I knew it needed to be so that it can actually get to all these gears. So this is something you do want to make sure you watch for right here, is make sure that this here has not come loose and shifted forward, because the spring tension on this is just going to bring all this here forward. So that could have potentially been a big problem. Okay, I did have to make one small slight adjustment on the gears as well. It was hitting all the gears pretty well except for the bottom one down here, so just had to loosen one of the screws so that it would travel a little further down. Other than that, it shifted quite precisely into every gear. Oops, get the kickstand up here. So it shifted precisely into every gear after I made that slight adjustment. So as you can see there, I'm just clicking. I'm clicking down, and there we go. It's hitting that bottom gear. It's still a little slow on the reaction. I may have to let it out just a little bit, and it go all the way up to the top gear. All right, so very important to watch for that. Make sure that this pivot hasn't come forward, and then it's just hitting the bottom of this here, and it won't shift. All right, the other thing, let's see here. Oh, for me, this seat post is too short. Now, I'm glad that I ordered the largest bike. I was really questioning, okay, do I order the 17 inch or do I order the 19 inch? So I'm 6'1", like I said, 205 pounds. Now, normally for me, I've been around bikes for a long time, so I've been professionally bike fitted to bikes. So I know that what my seat height is from any bike. Any bike that I move to or use, and generally if I stick with the same saddle, I know that my seat height from the center of the bottom bracket to the top of the saddle is 78.5 millimeters, or 78.5 centimeters, sorry about that. So this seat post here is at the very bottom that it can go, so where I can still tighten it, and it's still too short. Okay, so I think it's currently sitting at around 68, which really I need about another 10 centimeters on the saddle to be at the right height for me. So I already ordered a saddle so I can get the height. Now, the problem with that is the bottom bracket on this here sits higher, much higher than your traditional bikes. So that's going to create a very tall standover height where you're going to be tiptoeing more on the saddle. As it is now, this saddle height, even though it's too low for me, I am kind of tiptoeing to the ground. So that's something you got to be concerned about. And it's one of those things where how long are you going to be riding this bike here? So for me, I intend to ride this bike for long periods of time. So I want to make sure that my saddle position is correct so that I'm not doing any unnecessary damage or creating injuries for my knees or anything like that. So I'm going to get this saddle moved up. I'm going to have to deal with slightly more tiptoeing. The other thing that I discovered is that the stem here is probably just a tad too short for me. So luckily for me, I do have, some other stems, again, from, doing a lot of bike builds and such. So I actually have quite a few. I even have one that it's a short one that kind of angles up, which I might actually do this one. We'll see. Obviously, I don't want to go too long, but I think if I could just get about another, 10 millimeters or 20 millimeters, 2 centimeters, which these here will do for me. I think it'll be the right distance for me on the handlebar. So I think in the future, if you're ordering one of these, if you're tall, make sure you do get the 19-inch, and I would consider getting the adjustable stem so that you have room for the height, and I believe it's just a little bit longer. All right, what else did I find on this thing here? I can't really say that I found a whole lot wrong with this bike here. Overall, the build went very smoothly. Found no problems at all other than just that derailleur issue. Took it out for a brief test ride last night. Highly impressed with I didn't even try the full throttle on this bike yet. I just used the assist level 1 in eco mode and was already impressed with the power of this bike and what it does. Now, I intend to ride this bike a little bit different than the average bike rider or consumer. Let me explain that. Okay, I'm used to riding hundreds of miles a week, 2 to 3 hours at a time on a traditional road bike or racing bike, and riding tons and tons of miles. Now, I don't really race near as much. I kind of like doing casual rides, long casual rides. So my goal of getting an e-bike was to be able to, if I go out for an hour and a half ride on a bike, a traditional bike, I want to be able in that same hour to hour and a half cover twice the distance with the same amount of effort in the bike. That was the reason why I got an e-bike. So as far as for me in the eco mode assist level 1, I already feel that assist level 1 is going to give me exactly what I wanted out of this bike. Now, I did test assist level 3 and assist level 5, even dabbled with the sport mode, which was a bit more torquey and much faster than I think I will ever need. So this bike is going to help me accomplish that goal to get out, cover more terrain, more distance in the same amount of time that I would in a regular bike, and get the same level of effort and workout that I normally would. So I really like this bike. Really impressed with overall, the ordering and shipping. It wasn't the best experience, but I would say it is to be expected with trying to order e-bikes nowadays, especially if they're coming out of China. So great bike. I can't wait to actually get out on this thing and do some more riding and testing. And hopefully my seat post will be here soon so that I can actually get it to the right saddle height. Now, a couple other modifications that I got going on, I'll show you here right here. These are Tannis Armor fat tire, thorn protection, which you do need out here in New Mexico because we have goat heads. So at some point, I got a big box of these. I got 4 of these here because I actually have 2 of these bikes. And only one has come so far, so I'm still waiting for my wife's bike to get here. But these are actually going to go in because I don't want to deal with flats. I want to be able to just ride and not have to deal with, you know, and I do intend to carry tools, but I don't want to have to deal with flats. So these are actually going to go in, and I'll leave the link to the website on ordering these here. If you live in an area where, like I do, where you have lots of thorns and such. So, all right, so that's going to go on. A couple other modifications. I have a custom rack that I purchased so that I can hang on the seat posts, and I can have a bag on here and panniers. And ultimately, I got to finish setting up some different things on the handlebars for camera gear, electronics, and things like that, because I do intend to do a lot of live streaming with this bike here. So look for those live streams, whether it's on my YouTube channel or my Twitch channel. All right, that's going to be it for my overall thoughts of the build and what to look for. Hopefully that helps. I'll try to be a little bit more active on the Nireeka forum and help some of those people that are struggling with the bikes, which I've already tried to go in there and put some input. So look for some more reviews as I use this bike more and more, and learn a little bit more about it, and look for some more videos as well as I ride this thing around and show what it's capable of and what it's not capable of. All right, we'll see you on the next one.